Oh, mate, are we ready to rock?
Tell me about this week. What happened this week? What's going?
What are you talking about?
Oh, is it Australia Day today or something?
Well, we don't call it Australia Day. We call it January 26th. It just happens to be a day that the entire nation celebrates. It's completely different to Australia Day because it would otherwise be known as Invasion Day. Look, the Australian nation celebrates the 26th of January. Well, parts of the Australian nation, the parts that found that day particularly joyous.
What about the other parts? Who doesn't?
Not so happy. Not so happy about that.
Tell us I don't know the history of Australia Day. It being interestingly, it being a country the size of North America, but having a population of 20 million people. How many people are in Oz these days?
22. Thank you very much. 23. It's nudging so on 24.
What is Australia Day? Put it on the world stage for us.
It's on the world stage.
Oh, nice.
Like on the OECD that level. Just some casual merch. Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate. Right here.
Go for it.
Oh, that's good. A little bit of left here. Australia Day is the national day of celebration. Technically, it's landing day / D-Day of when Captain James Cook, First Fleet, 1788 landed.
Right.
I'm going to get all these facts wrong. I'm going to go back in post, right?
Your mouth will be just doing this. All this really interesting stuff. Oh, he got that right, didn't he?
Landed, Jackson Bay, Botany Bay, one of the two. And
Botany Bay, wasn't it? Did
the thing. Yeah. But like there's a sub bay within Botany Bay. There's a particular, cove he landed, Jackson Cove. So it's a joyous day. It's fantastic. Really what it became as we were growing up was the day that Triple J's Hottest 100 was released, which is essentially the world's largest crowd voted top 100 on the spot from hippie lefty radio station. What you would do on Australia Day on January 26th is you would have a barbecue and you'd crank on Triple J's Hottest 100 and listen to the countdown and take bets on what was going to be number one, where yours was going to land. It was amazing.
So all I'm hearing I assume you have barbecues every day though in Australia. So all that's different is you listen to Triple J. Is that's the uniqueness?
It's an extra barbecue. You barbecue twice on the same day.
A barbecue between okay. So
between the lunch barbecue and the dinner barbecue, you add a third barbecue. It's very skillful.
Yeah.
Let's go through some Australian things. I'd love to go through some Australian things.
Yeah. Australia.
I think because you lived there for 3 years.
Having been there for 3 months, I feel like I think I know as much about Australia as you do about Ireland. I would say, which is probably fair. Yeah,
I know a fair bit about Ireland. I'm quite knowledgeable in the arts. I think there are things that Australia is well known for.
Yeah,
there are things that Australia should be known for.
Yeah,
and there are things that Australians think we should be known for.
Yeah, let's go through that full list.
Hills hoist.
Hills
hoist. This is like the laundry. It's a washing line. It's basically a washing line in the shape of a square.
Do
you do not know what I'm talking about? That's how.
Oh, you mean like the thing? It's got a pole in the middle of the garden with 4 poles going up. How's that Australian? That's just 80s. That's the way watching lines were in the 80s.
Welcome to Australia. That's
we
what
had
happened.
One in Ireland. What happened there in the 80s?
We gave it to you. It was an export.
We did.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Hills hoist is by Mr. Hills.
Yes.
Is a famously Australian invention.
Huh.
Everywhere in Australia. Now, what's the actual invention? It's a fair question. I think it's got a lot to do with space efficiency and urban density, and a fair bit to do with wind aerodynamics and wind flow, because it actually turns.
They spin
as the wind comes along. They spin.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. And then they compact. What it's really known for, though, is gooning. So what you can basically do is put bags of cheap wine on the Hills hoist, and as it spins, whoever it lands on, you can do what you. So look,
that's smart.
We're innovative people. One
of the amazing things about Australia is you can buy like a box of wine for like, I don't know, somewhere between $5 and $10. This really cheap wine. What's it called? Is it called Goon? Do you call it Goon?
No, it's just called box wine. But
box wine.
Goon
is the bladder inside, right? So it's a box of wine.
So you get rid of the box.
You take the bladder out. It's a silver bladder of wine.
Yeah. So you've got a bag of wine, a silver bag of wine.
Which is, the wine is dubious because there are warnings on the box that say contain fish and eggs in your wine. If you read the back of the label, which is all the best wine, as you know, has fish and eggs in it.
Traces of fish and eggs.
Yeah, but it's good stuff. Makes you blind. Yeah.
This is like Yellowtail, where it's basically imported to the US in tankers, in oil tankers, in the belly of oil tankers, and then bottled over here. It may contain traces of petroleum.
Yum.
Delicious. Okay, look, I've got a list of 30 things and we can't get past the first one.
Wait,
I like where this is
we
going.
haven't. Let me just finish that first. So the thing you do is it's a double give. So you get a bag of wine, and then when you finish the bag of wine, you can inflate it and use it as a pillow for when you're passing out. So it's like it's a twofer. It's the ideal backpacking. It's a classic Australian delicacy.
What pasta. What I love about this anecdote is I've never done that.
Really?
You were there for 3 months, and you can
which
explain
means I
it with
did
intricacy.
it 12 times
Every day. Listen, Irish backpackers are not a stereotype. They're a reality.
I was working in an engineering office in Darling Harbour. I won't name it, but yeah, I had a proper job, and then going home drinking bags of goon. Yeah.
Which of the eastern beaches did you live at?
We lived at Coogee Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Down in Coogee. Yeah, we had a wonderful time. I think our rent was about $80 for 5 of us. It was hairy. It was awful. Yeah.
I was quietly hoping that this list would trigger some happy mememories of the Australian backpacker, and we're already there.
So we got.
Let's move to item number 2.
Yeah.
This is a 20 item list. We may be here all night. I'm also quite cold just wearing the flag. Look, they're known for food items, Vegemite being top of the list, right?
Mm-hmm.
As an SEL, I was immigrant to Australia right when I was 7. Vegemite did not feature on the things that I adapted to list.
Do you pretend though? Is it one of those things where you're like, Vegemite sandwich?
Not even. Got it in the fridge. Always have to have it handy. Just
you have it in the fridge now here in the US.
Yeah, because someone sends it to you eventually somewhere, right?
And you only ever have
I
one
brought
jar.
you happy things from.
It's from the 90s.
Yeah,
no one's ever opened it.
Milo, Vegemite, and Tim Tams. Obviously, Tim Tams are the ever present tweet. The deliciousness that comes out of Oz.
Tim Tams are legit. They're good. I mean, they're just a chocolate biscuit with some caramel in it, right?
Don't immunify. It's
it's something we can all get behind, as opposed to vegetable oil grease, which in your sandwich,
as opposed to hypersodium that turns your mouth inside out. Yeah.
Do you think anyone actually likes Vegemite, or do you think it's like someone they like the taste of it?
Yeah. I think if you're spoon fed it from 6 months onwards, you think it's mama. So I think you like it. That's what you know. That's the flavor.
Huh?
No.
Number
Down
3. A Vegemite I thought would have been number 1, but I'm good. It's certainly a top 2 item.
Oh look, this is not a comprehensive.
Do I get to guess
well
one?
thought out list. Yeah. I want you to guess one of the things Australians are obviously known for.
Kangaroos.
I've got animals down here. Yes,
animals. Like the most deadly in every species. Like
top 9 deadliest spiders out of top 10. Top 8 deadliest snakes out of top 10. If it can kill you, it's an Oz.
Jellyfish. The most deadly ones are the tiny ones.
Tiny Irukandji little bastard. I had a project named Irukandji because it was a small US. Yeah, it was a small chip profile, and yes, Irukandji to live. They're Queensland, Sunshine State, lovely warm weather. 9 months of the year you can't swim because they're a jellyfish.
Yeah.
Just as an aside.
Did you have a little jelly suit growing up? Was that a thing, or did you just not go in the water?
No, I was in the southern states. No jellyfish down there. Just sharks. It's easier.
Sharks.
Yeah.
Sharks. All the sharks around there love eating people. Like
delicious.
Tiger sharks and geez. You don't get great whites down there, do you? Or you do?
Sure we do.
That's over on the west coast, isn't it?
Come on now. Everywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere. You guessed one. That's good. Animals. Guess another one.
Okay. Chopper. Do you know that guy?
No, I don't think I do. Is the guy is he Australian? The one with the beard?
Yeah,
the one
with the moustache. He cut his own ears off. Real just tough. What his name? Chop. What's his name?
He's done himself a mischief.
You've done himself a mischief.
He's done himself a mischief.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, Chopper. Yeah.
Was his name Chopper?
We love to glorify criminals. Australia being born on a criminal colony based on convicts. Criminals are part of our legend. Yeah.
I'm going to look it up because I'm going to find out his name.
In the movie, glorified by Eric Bana, who has brilliant line. He's done himself the mischief. After having shivved the guy 13 times.
Mark Brandon Reed. Chopper Reed.
Chopper Reed.
His name.
Good
if you haven't
call.
seen it, that's a classic Australian one.
You know what? I'm going to bundle that. I'm going to give you half points. I'm going to bundle it with the famous Australians up there with Crocodile Dundee and Steve Irwin.
Oh yeah, I would have guessed those. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
yeah.
I love that Chopper Eaters in your list of famous Australians. It fits.
Infamous.
Let me run through some of the other obvious ones.
Obvious ones.
Look, we're obviously known for everything sports.
Yeah.
We're a sporting nation, punched well above the weight any time of the Olympics.
Yeah.
Swimming in particular. Why are we such good swimmers? Turns out we're surrounded by water. Cricket, amazing. As Aussie cricketers go to India, earn a mint.
Yeah.
All of that stuff.
Rugby.
And like 12 different kinds of football codes. I think the key to our football prowess is we invent ones that only we play so we can win in them on the global stage.
What did you invent?
I mean, Aussie rules is probably
Aussie
the one
rules.
that
You
comes to
invented
mind.
Aussie rules. You know what that is?
We appropriated Gaelic football and made it better. Yeah.
Yeah. Ireland and England sent over prisoners.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is Australian rules. Yeah. Okay.
That actually
we invented something.
It's a really nice segue into what Australians think they should be known for.
You want it to be art and literature and all that nonsense. Like, because that's the Irish.
Probably not, no. I mean, look.
I'll tell you something that's Aussie. Given something highbrow a shit name.
The Rona.
Yeah, like as in, just the slang, the unnecessary slang for stuff.
Yeah.
That's classic Aussie.
Yeah. Make it longer, even if it's short.
Yeah.
Make it shorter if it's long.
Yeah.
Add an O or an E, Davo, Davey.
Nicknames are ridiculous. Like, yeah. That's classic Aussie.
That's convict culture. That's anti-authoritarian convict culture. We like to invert it. Right. Not taking stuff seriously.
Yeah. But it's not just casual. It's not just with mates. It's like it's in the workplace. It's like you're in a presentation and people are dropping. Yeah.
No, it's institutional. McDonald's is called Macca's officially in Australia. Macca. Macca's.
Is it branded? Is that a trademark?
Yeah. Macca's it's everywhere. It's Macca's because that's what you called it colloquially for years. And they went, we should lean into that.
Let's embrace it.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised you have an Australian flag. I didn't think it was in you. I mean, I know you're Aussie. I just mean, I didn't think you were like a flag wearer. Like, when did you buy that for this episode, or when did you get a flag?
I'd love you to answer that question. When do you think I got this flag?
Did your ma buy it for you?
I opened the Amazon box 5 minutes ago.
I knew it. I was like, Rami's not like a flag wearer. Like, yeah.
Can we end the Australia bit? Are we done with the Australia bit?
No, we can talk about it some more. I mean,
no. I'm saying we're done. By the way, I want this to be in my merch. What are we talking about? This week's drama on Twitter, which I love.
Tell me.
And I want to preface this by saying I am a Stripe employee, but I've got zero context to any of this because it's well before my time. It's well beyond my pay grade. And that's just not the story, right? So thoughts and opinions are my own.
My thoughts and opinions are even less informed than Rami's, but they will be very strongly held.
Caveats aside. Ryan Breslau, the CEO of a company called Bolt. This is a company that makes front-end UI technology for e-commerce. They make cart, checkout, one-click purchases. Shoots a massive fire across the bow at Stripe, the VCs, Y Combinator, and the Bay Area in general. In one long, ranted, poorly fact-checked, unsubstantiated, this is all my personal opinion based on what I've seen, etc. 30-tweet thread that outlines the thesis of that this group of institutions I just mentioned are the mob, and their mob behavior boxed him and his company Bolt from having any access to media, to companies, to customers, period. This is the guy who came to Twitter with prominence of taking down Fast CEO Dom, who's an Australian, just as an aside, just took him out on Twitter, just smacked him down. Dom was quite vocal on Twitter. Then kind of rose to prominence on Twitter by being like a great positive influencer of company culture. Oh. He subsequently created the 4-day work week, instantiated it at his company, made headlines for doing that.
Yeah.
Kind of minimum wage stuff, great setting of company culture. How do you do good CEO work? Just positive, affirming how to run a company, doing stuff in public.
He's not the same guy who everyone gets paid the same wage, is he?
not the 75, not the
no.
$75,000. No.
Okay, right.
He's four day work week.
Okay, same
Bolt.
same
Same
though,
vibes.
same vibes.
Same energy. Positive influencers, getting kudos, doing well. Bolt had just gone from whatever it was, 700 million to 2 billion to a valuation of 13, but just raised and got to like 13, 14 billion valuation.
Like stage C or D, like they're a proper
cranking, they're doing well. I respect them. I love them. I'm watching what they're doing. And you maybe got it like a devaluation or something or other. It went down a little bit, just shoots one of the largest skirmishes across Twitter to woke everyone up, and just the Stripe Y Combinator Hacker News VC community army rose.
Well, let's break it down.
Twitter.
Let's break down what he accused them of, right? Why were they the mob, and why Stripe, darlings of Silicon Valley, what's it got to do with Y Combinator? Like let's go through it. What have Stripe got to do with Y Combinator to start with?
They're a Y Combinator company.
Boom. And then
you're right. So
talk us through it.
Stripe's a Y. So let me frame it. If I was Ryan,
yeah,
not because this is what I'm saying. These are not my words. I'm framing it as though I'm Ryan. He's saying Stripe was a Y Combinator darling, and they battled it out, and they used Y Combinator to bootstrap a whole bunch of their early wins. They got all of their Y Combinator companies onto Stripe to process payments.
Yeah,
like a reasonable strategy, including Lyft.
Yeah,
which was not a Y Combinator company. Claim number one, problematic.
I didn't know that, because he claims Lyft was a Y Combinator unicorn. Okay,
right, one. So he says, okay, they boxed us out of Y Combinator. We applied twice. We didn't get in there because they boxed us out somehow, because they told everyone to go use payments. Let's be really clear. Bolt is not a payments company. It's not a payments processing company. It uses payments processing companies, including Stripe, Adyen, PayPal, and others, Braintree in particular. So it's a UI front-end layer that requires payments underneath it. There's no reason the Y Combinator. Okay, fine. So he goes, first institution is Y Combinator boxed us out because Stripe was in there and was in all of their APIs. Why would they want Bolt?
Almost weird, like it's the way my reading of his tweet was, like it's like a mandate. If you're going to be in Y Combinator and you're a startup, you just do your finance to Stripe. It's like there's like a checkbox thing. You'll get your Google Workplace account, you'll get your Stripe account, you'll get your and then we're good to go. Which
is great for everyone involved. It doesn't make any sense why they wouldn't let it, because it's not a competitive. It just kind of there's just a sniff test there. Doesn't work. Number one. Number two, then you latch on VCs, and the claim is the Colossus were so savvy here that they went and got funding from every top tier VC across the Bay Area.
Which sounds like a great idea as well. As an outsider, that sounds like, when he was saying it, I was like, that would be amazing. But anyway,
why not? Do it, why would you?
Why not take money from
with an explicit purpose of all the companies that Stripe is thinking about, with an explicit purpose to box out Bolt.
Yeah. Or any
because or any direct direct payments processor. Any payments processor that can come into the ecosystem, because those VCs already have something on their docket. VCs are known to get multiple companies in the same space.
Partners betting against each other and all. I mean, 100%.
The story, right? Yeah. So it just doesn't. It's sniff test fails on every level. Then he starts railing into Hacker News, which admittedly is the previous of the media arm of Y Combinator, for want of a better word. It's just the tech news that everyone's reading every day in the Bay Area, and the tech in general.
Hacker News is a big deal. I mean,
Hacker News is absolutely a big deal, and like Stripe is on there front and center because it was all about developers.
Yep.
Patrick is very engaged still personally, which is brilliant, and we love it in Stripe. He makes this bold claim that Hacker News rigged their algorithm and their feed when Bolt released a particular product. At the time, it was like a fraud 2.0 thing, or a fraud, and Stripe released it immediately afterwards. It magically had this thing called Radar 2.0. Within hours, published it, and Hacker News colluded and brought them up above Bolt after hours. A couple of small issues with that particular claim. One, it takes a little bit more than 2 hours to build a second fraud product that probably took many quarters and many months. Yeah, so there's a bit of a predetermination story. Two, it turns out Stripe published well before Bolt published, and the Hacker News CEO went onto the thread and was like, actually, here's the timeline, just in case you're wondering.
That's amazing.
There was just some great like communal fact checking that was going on.
Also, even if it wasn't true, if you're a smaller company and you have some news and it's trending, and then a bigger company has some news and it knocks your news off the spot, that's the way.
You don't have the firepower, all this stuff. And then he saves, obviously, you know, the best for last for Stripe. Here's what they do. Here's some of their activities. I don't know what the claims are. I don't know any validity. They invested in a competitor, and that was fast. Stripe invested in lots of things. I don't know any of that sort of story. But the level of vitriol, and as one of the replies was, QAnon energy that was applied to that thread was just what. And now it's the mob, and everyone's chatting about the mob, and it's like, you know, if you want to see your family again, you better use this API. There's lots of that chat happening, and I can't help but thinking, why?
Yeah, my take on it, when I read it, you forwarded it to me, and when I, you know, without you commenting on it, you just flicked it across to me, and my read of it was, this doesn't read well for you. Like, when you've written this, you know, it's like, it just reads as a whinge, and you didn't get into Y Combinator, and that was why you didn't succeed, and then you had a story that was trending on Hacker News, and then somebody else had a better story, and that's why. And it's just like, come on,
why?
You know,
why? What do you got? What do you got to win here? What are you trying to do? You had a good stature, good credibility as this CEO who led to a four-day work week. You have positive culture, kind of tweeting. That was what you're influencing. Your company's growing. People are loving it. Valuations are going through the roof, and you decide on a dime to be known for this.
Let's push back, though.
Who let him do this? Who signed off and said this is okay?
People have their own Twitter accounts. Let's be kind here. He's a human. He's probably feeling tremendous pressure, and you don't have many people. Like, he's the CEO of Blocked, or not of Blocked, the CEO of Bolt. He's CEO.
Yes. CEO
founder. You probably don't have many people. He's probably in a bit of an echo chamber with the people he's surrounded with. And maybe everyone, you know, maybe he's been venting this stuff for a while and people are, yes, man, you know, nodding. You know, there's lots of ways you can get yourself into a situation like that. Have you never done something absolutely that surprises you, even yourself? And you're, you know, maybe not on, you know, on the stage where you're like, you know, embarrassing yourself on Twitter, but like, I do stuff all the time where I'm like, where I surprise myself, you know?
I do. I have never done it with stakes, right? So the higher the stakes, the less likely I'm to do anything. I'm you know, I'm kind of paralyzed. I can't say been in a position where I would do something to surprise myself that would turn. I'm with you. He's human. He's personal. But this wasn't an impulsive purchase of a Kit Kat at the checkout aisle. This was a 20-tweet thread, premeditated, deliberate. Like, you're halfway through that thread and you're going, yeah, no, I'm doubling down. I'm still going. I'm good. No, I've still got a few more memory. Let's do this thing. And you're getting egged on. So part of me is going, what have you got to win? And the next part of me is, another part is going, there's something he knows that we don't. And I'm wondering whether he's tapping into the continued kind of anti-Bay Area sentiment, the anti-tech sentiment, the anti-whatever it is, like establishment guard something. Because he's not in the area, but I should check. I think he's out of the US. I think he must be in the US. And he must have a signal that says there's enough people who either agree with him or feel like they're on the outer, and he's setting himself up to be the Robin Hood.
No,
he's setting himself up to be the rebel.
I maybe he's that
savvy.
Maybe he's Gary V or whatever, where he's got a game plan. But my gut would be that he's in an echo chamber, surrounded by people who are saying this really isn't right, this really isn't fair, and he's gone on Twitter and he's let it all out.
So from friends who've met with him, their message is, when they met and they didn't go and join the company, was because the feeling they got was, this is the sort of entrepreneur who knows a marketing hook. He knows how to get attention.
Well, I guess I'd never heard of them.
He's an entrepreneur, right? So do you pick a fight because it's just classic good TV?
Yeah, no news.
It's good entertainment, right?
Yeah, there's no such thing as, what is it? No such thing as bad
and
media.
You're picking it because there's no stake. You're not going to get funding from that group. Stripe's still going to be a payment processor on your product. you don't really, you've already exhausted. What's the calculus? How amazing is it to go, yeah, let's do it. I'm not going to say public enemy because he's not, but for a certain group of people now knowing with a bit of derision, right? Not quite laughing stock, but somewhere in between. And sure enough, there was a bit of self-fulfilling prophecy because he called everyone out and then all of them ganged up on him, kind of proving his point. But then again, what are you expecting when you can't kind of gaslight in that way?
I wonder if you go through the thread, what percentage of people are supporting him and what
I did. And there's a lot of people going, I love you, keep going. Yeah. And I'm wondering where they're from. I'm wondering what they're about because there's an audience there.
Yeah.
And I think he's not dumb. He's very savvy. He's gotten where he's gone to. So it's not. I don't think emotion got the better of him, right? I think there's something underlying it. I really look forward to seeing how this plays out.
Well, we'll see it because it's all on Twitter. That's why I don't get enough sleep at nighttime because I have to chase down all these threads during this call. I have to catch up on all this. The
greatest fucking thing. So good. It's so
How did you feel
fun.
when you were giving me the it's good to see you on Twitter condescending tone, and then you joined Twitter in December 2013 and I had joined in October of 2009. How did that feel? Getting slapped with like 4-year difference on our Twitter account.
Look, my testicles shrunk. I'll be honest with you. They receded back into my body.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good. I felt ashamed.
Yeah, because you went back to my first 2 tweets and then screenshot them and sent them to me. No one's proud of their 2009 tweets. Come on.
I'm not saying proud. I'm just saying you claimed the 4-year difference, but you tweeted once, "Hello Twitter," when you joined, and then 4 years later you came back for your second tweet.
I said I was referencing cultural. I was talking about Stephen Fry.
You were talking about Stephen Fry. My point was you tweeted once and then 4 years later came back on. I think we're on the same timeline. But aside from that,
I think I deleted all the stuff in between because it was so profound. I didn't want people to look back on it and be like, geez, that guy really, he had it all figured out back in 2009,
Who cares, mate? Who cares? It's all good stuff.
In your merch. This is what we're talking about. Tell me what you think about this. So what is the blockchain?
So I don't know what the blockchain is, as we've established. But I've heard of it, and in my mind it's associated with 2 things. One is the way that they sell houses in England, where if somebody buys your house, they have to sell their house or else they can't pay you for your house, and it's like a whole buying chain. And the other one is 4chan. So what I'm imagining is like a message board where people are like selling each other things, but they all have to be linked together in order for the sale to go through.
If a gun was to your head and someone said, "What is the blockchain?" What would be your answer?
Some internet-related thing.
An internet thing.
Yeah.
Got it. So let's talk about that.
I believe she followed that up on some message with, "I don't want to know what it is."
Yeah. So
if anyone ever offers.
I think it's amazing though that. Do you think it's? I don't know. I think
You've been radicalized. You're in a bubble.
No, I'm not. To know what a blockchain is, to have heard of blockchain.
She's heard of Bitcoin, I bet.
She's probably
heard. Ask that question.
Do you not think blockchain is as famous as Bitcoin? No. I'm not radicalized. I mean, blockchain is, come on, like.
No, you're not radicalized, but does Kelly know what the agile sprint development process is?
No, but I really do think blockchain is mainstream, like, as in, especially even if she hadn't heard of it, this last month has been NFTs, blockchain.
But I think that's the point. In the same way that TCP/IP is underlying, she knows what the internet is roughly.
Sure.
Could maybe talk about, but she doesn't know what TCP/IP. I think blockchain is still underlying framework. It's not NFTs, and even NFTs are probably a bit fuzzy. Yeah. I think she knows the applications.
Yeah.
The headliners, Bitcoin, NFTs.
No, I'm not. I mean, she's very. I think the thing that surprised me the most is, Kelly, right? She's like on it. She's very competent. She's a lot smarter than I am. She's got, she knows a lot. But when it just came out, the reason I recorded this was like, it came out at dinner. I was like, oh, and she's like, well, what's blockchain? I was like, shut up.
I love this so much. I love the earnestness of it. I love that there's parts of the world that are, and I assume are actually the vast majority, 98% of the world, that are still immune from what's going on here. Maybe it'll become mainstream. Maybe not. Maybe just the applications of things that mainstream. But I really enjoyed it just to remember that we're in the Bay Area, and you
Yeah.
and I are radicalized on Twitter, and everyone around us knows stuff, and
Yeah.
we're sitting, you know, like
We're in an echo chamber.
We're
Yeah.
in an absolute echo chamber. Yes, blockchain is not just Bay Area, but it's still a sliver of the universe.
Yeah.
Having said that, when Paris Hilton goes on the
Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon show and they both start comparing
And
their board yacht club NFTs,
she explained it well as well. She was talking
Yeah.
about, you know, contracts, and like she
Yeah.
wasn't just like, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
she
but
knew.
they're all we're gonna make it. They're all WAGMI, all to the top.
So
It's
I'm terrified.
amazing.
Ever since you sent me that video that you only watched the first 20 minutes of to the WhatsApp group, that 2-hour video, which I watched the entire of, I'm so scared now. Like I feel like. So did you watch? How much did you literally just watch the first 20 minutes?
I watched another 40, but it's brilliant. It
The
is
premise
so
of it
good.
is that it's the pump and dump. It's a classic
Yeah.
pump and dump, and that there's zero value in NFTs, and that everybody knows there's no value in NFTs, but they do two things. They make it complex to make so like something that's actually
Obfuscation.
Obfuscation means, oh well, there's the people in the know and the people not in the know. I don't really know, but people in the know do know, and I should do it. And then there's this fear of missing out thing. And the sole reason for NFTs to exist is to pump cryptos. You know, and
which is odd because ETH is still tanking, and I keep waiting to get back in. Given most of NFTs are built on.
well, you told me to buy it at 3,800 because it was a steal.
Yeah. You should definitely buy it at 22.
I went in at 34 2 weeks ago.
Still a good buy. Still a good buy, man.
Yeah,
Still a good buy.
yeah.
Stand by. Sorry, it's an amazing scenario where it looks like a pump and dump, and then something great rises out of the ashes.
Well,
which, if I hark back to the first episode, I think that was your assumption. Something's going to go out of it, but we don't know what it is. But there's a lot of crap in there, but there's something great as well.
So lots has happened since that first episode. So we had there's a pump and dump happening. NFTs don't have any value, but there's an elite group of VCs pumping this stuff, and it's all going to, in my mind, it's all going to evaporate and disappear, and it's not really a thing. And then Twitter comes out with the NFT tags. YouTube is doing something with NFT. The CEO announced this week. Meta has said that on Facebook you'll be able to they're going to set up a marketplace for NFTs. It's going to be a thing now. The thing that scares me is I nearly did the Twitter, what's it called? That
hexagon thing.
The Twitter hexagon. I nearly did it with my profile. But one of the things I read was it's a clear target for hackers. That like if you want to call out that I've got more disposable income than I should have, and that that I have cryptos, why don't you change your profile picture to an NFT? You fucking idiot!
I love that. I also love that part of the workflow here is turn your current profile picture into an NFT by paying $400 for gas, and then put it back on your profile to like virtue signal with a hexagon. So there's an entire cottage industry of people turning. You know, because you can make it semi-transparent and just have a profile picture that's hexagonal.
Yeah, so it's not a real.
Just when you tap on it, you can't tell the difference. Not many people are tapping, right? Those CTRs on profile pics are not high. Let me tell you.
Is that it? What's happening, Remy? So what when I read all this stuff this week, the thing I remembered immediately was you saying when we came back from the break, everybody's had an epiphany. You and I work in major tech companies. Everybody's had an epiphany over Christmas that Web3 is the future and that we need to go all in. And I worry that there's too many of you and me type people in those companies who are FOMO, that they're like, we have to find something in there. We have to, like, where's like, what's
I mean, the Google, YouTube folks are all friends, and I know how that kind of happened. And the fact that Google even announced this week that there is going to be a Web3 team headed up by a former is all just great stuff in that direction. Mate, I think there's a real boredom, and I think there's a need for the next hot thing. And I think there was such a bubble in VC funding, some of the baseline stuff, that there was a serious affluence and almost a blaseness about having to do real business development. People were able to bail out with a lot of cash and do very, very good. Yeah, I mean, this bubble that I think we're coming out of based on the reserve, fueled by the Feds, fueled by some of the sovereign funds, VC funding and the astronomical evaluations, has had so many unseen, and will keep having so many unforeseen kind of impacts. I think a bunch of them is this escape valve into new fantasticals with essentially leveraged, bubble assets, right, on top of. There are elements of this ecosystem, though, that, it's not one thing. It's not some homogenous blob of pump and dump. There are elements of this where there are artists for the first time making money off art.
I don't think so.
Also, what I said to you, there absolutely are. So there's a huge swath of them.
So I think they're part of the pump. No, they're part of the dump. Which are they? They're both. So, well, this video you sent me, which I'll link in the description below, says that they're actually the greatest. They're some of the biggest victims here, because in order to be able to list their art, what you're doing is you're getting one or two artists making it big, doing some things, but you've got this massive long tail of people who are buying cryptocurrencies to pay gas fees and list fees to put their art up, and actually no one's buying any of that art. If you look at it, 99.9% of those NFTs are not being bought or even clicked
100%.
on. So it's a game. It's a club, and if you're not in the club, it's not going to work, and it's just pumping cryptos. The sole purpose of it is for designers to pay to list their art, and they have to buy cryptos to do it, and they're actually the suckers in this. So what do you think of that?
I think I really like Kelly's approach to, I don't know what the hell a blockchain is, nor do I want to know.
Yeah.
At times, maybe I'm getting old, but you want to get off some of this flywheel, because it just seems decrepit, doesn't it?
But like, we're swinging wildly here. If we go back 2 weeks ago, if you're drawing something today and you're not creating NFTs, what are you doing? It's a Wild West time, isn't it? It's like, I mean, from week to week, I'm like,
it's the fastest
right now
moving.
I'm so negative. I'm so anti NFTs right now.
I mean, that's also you tend to swing from one extreme to the other.
And I could be pro again next week, depending on what I've read.
But for sure, the Web3 this year and end of last year was the fastest moving crazy thing that was happening. When Loot happened, I remember when Loot dropped. So Dom, I forget his last name, he actually kicked off Vine. He went and created another one called Byte. And then at some point in time, he dropped this Loot thing, which creates essentially Dungeons and Dragons artifacts, and then out of like the chain, and then people on top of that built like visuals. I remember when that thing dropped, and that week it was the most explosive. I could not keep up with the stuff that was happening, and I barely even scratched the surface. It's just moving so fast. So you hear a lot of chatter about the anxiety of keeping up, and how do you know where the pulse is and where the center of gravity is, and so on. And then it culminates in, the robos, NFT robos, and the Bored Apes in Times Square. It was an NFT meetup in New York City, and like the headline 3 or 4 massive communities were splattered all across Times Square. This is not small. It's getting, promoted in the Super Bowl ads we're hearing. It's getting promoted in, prime time. You've got Matt Damon promoting crypto.com.
But Matt, I don't know. Like,
Matt Damon.
Yeah, like I feel, Team America, that's the best. I don't know. Matt Damon has not been.
No, he's not been a great.
He's not a great ambassador. You know what I mean?
He's probably a perfect contra-signal, right? He's like, who's the Four Horsemen? The Four Horsemen of Tech. What's his name? The professor, Scott Galloway.
Yeah,
Scott Galloway. He's gotten. He's basically noted as the perfect anti-corollary signal. When he goes and he likes something, no to divest and short it, because it's the thing that's going to tank. I love that. For what it's worth, I love his thesis. I loved his Four Horsemen and the whole story. I bought into it, but he seems to have.
I think you sent it on to me. Like, you were the one who got me into it. So yeah. He was an NYU. He was a Stern professor. He's a Stern professor, and a whole bunch of our friends were hanging out with him, right? Oh yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Anyway. Web3, it's not going away, that's for sure.
No, it's not. I'm just, you know what? I'm giddy. I'm, going back to your people are bored. I'm so ready to be excited about something in tech at the moment. Like I'm. I
think that's what's happened. So what happened in my mind is these secular shifts in technology that move up and go to the next one, move up and go to the next one. And the last massive, like everyone's going to argue with me, but like the last massive thing that brought everyone in on this was mobile phones. The app economy in mobile was the last big shift that put dollars and dollars and dollars into coffers and had this huge uptake.
Yeah.
Globally, it allowed all of the share economies, your Ubers, your Airbnbs, allowed the whole new wave of everything. That was a huge secular shift with an entire I'd say the tech industry of the last 15, 20 years, since 2007 has basically been built on. Along the way, there's a bunch of all the B2B stuff that's happening, all the SaaS, like SaaS is the baseline. But the tailwinds have really stopped on mobile, on smartphones. So you're not selling. I think we said this before.
Yeah.
Everyone's looking to India and Brazil and NBU, the next billion users, because the West tailwinds on mobile smartphone adoption and growth is not there. So, and people understand what the apps do now. They get it, and you're seeing this. It's not really developing. So, in the meantime, short of doing B2B SaaS backend infrastructure, which some of us love doing in particular, what else is there? And everyone's waiting for the next big wave. So you're seeing the metaverse, you're seeing the VR kind of story, but they need a release valve. You had such an incredible ingest to the tech industry from non-technical people, right? Imagine every cross-functional person who's in tech, right? You're a policy person, you're a UXR, you're a UX person, you're you name it, right? Like BD, etc. Designers is a huge influx. Are kind of what's next, right? There's only so much you can keep designing for this pixel grid on a mobile phone without it being all rote and it's automated, and you don't even need design or engineering to do it. People can just pick and grid. So you've got a glut of talent. Yeah, you've got a glut of talent in tech, and you've got a glut of talent that's also pretty well off that needs to find an outlet. And I think that's the dynamic. And
the third part is there's money available. People are short of investing money. I mean, there's nothing to really invest in. Like, when, you know what I mean? Like, there's
that's the real that's the weird elitism about it, is that you need to have money to get in there. You need to understand it because it's still technocratic and it's not super usable. And having said all of this, I think that is the pump and dump kind of hyper bubble part of it. As we've said before as well, there are some real, we think, shining light technology elements that are about distribution and security, and it's not the fatty decentralized stuff, but it's the genuine technology that could do some very interesting things, right?
Yeah, I think so. But like where I am today, having gone down another rabbit hole this week, thanks to you.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
Is that like Bitcoin isn't worth any, like Bitcoin as a technology, Ethereum as a technology, just they're not cut out to do it. They're just not cut out to do it. They're energy inefficient. They're just... There's too many limitations. It's like if Web3 is going to be built on one of those cryptos, we're in trouble. So like, bullish on Web3. It's weird because I'm bullish on Web3, but I'm not bullish on the anarchist decentralization nonsense.
It's amazing, isn't it?
The one thing I can say that's been consistent is I'm bullish on metaverse. That's not going away for me. I'm super excited about it.
When was the last time you put your Quest headset on?
This week.
Yeah, what did you play?
I went into the whatever it is, meetup arena, Horizon experience.
Horizon? You went Horizon?
Yeah.
Good on you.
Yeah. It was
How'd
good.
it go?
It was good. I met a guy, he taught me how to jump. I met another guy. I met a guy from the UK and a guy from Israel, and he showed me how to do thumbs up. I couldn't get my wrist working. If you flick your wrist, you can do some stuff on the bottom side of your wrist. Anyway, it was good. It was kind of, it felt real. It felt, even though it's only legless, upper torsos with really like bad graphics. I was chatting to someone random, from a different part of the world. What do you see this? The Meta Rift, Meta Quest, Meta. So Meta have now rebranded the Oculus, the most recognizable VR headset brand, to Meta Quest. So this brand is snicking. I'm still shocked by it, but hey, I don't understand the market. Nor do I claim to be in the head of the market. I would. Yeah, of course. There's a couple of things that you want to talk about. I feel like you wanted to talk about the Tesla lock-in with no CarPlay. This was news to you, I hear. Yeah, and I'm a boomer. I get it, and I'm okay to be a boomer about it. You saw me tweeting asking Elon Musk and what's his name from Apple, Tim Cook, to sort it out, because I'm hoping they will. Maybe no one has told them that that Apple CarPlay should work on a Tesla. You don't know. People are afraid to talk to CEOs that way, Yeah. We've got an interesting one in here from this guy Marcus O'Brien, 98 followers on Twitter. Thinks that we should. He doesn't have a Tesla, but he thinks we should put Apple CarPlay in Teslas. Should we get Johnny Ive on that one? No, he's gone. Oh, who's left? Get someone else on that one. Oh, so good. It's a platform. He's not going to give it up. You're not going to give up the data and the platform to someone else when you want people to build apps for your car platform. It just seems stupid.
No, it's completely strategically. You're a tech company. You're essentially Tesla is a drivable iPad. Period. That's what it is. The car, everything around it is just let's get the iPad going.
Yeah.
And if you're about to succumb to that iPad and just become a screen for someone else's content, you've got another thing coming.
You think Google Maps on the iPhone is? What do you think's going on there? Why Google Maps works on iPhone beautifully?
No, that's because they had to have a platform. Then why do you think Apple have a Maps competitor?
Because they were heavily reliant on Google to start with, and then they created their own app. But they have to have both. They have both of them
because they're a platform. But the point is, they're still doubling down, and even after their first, they're still doubling down on Apple Maps because it is very strategic to have that data.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Yeah. But Tesla should have their. You can use Tesla shit maps or whatever they have. What do they have? Tesla Maps.
Yeah.
And Tesla CarPlay, Tesla whatever syncs to your phone. There's no way it works as well as Apple CarPlay does. Like,
you're wrong. You haven't used it. Number one. Number two.
I'm willing to fully commit to this without having tried it. No, it's nonsense.
No, number two. It's not the same thing because you're asking them to take over the OS with CarPlay. Having a Google app in the Tesla store, for sure, that's on the cards, but taking over the OS with CarPlay and cutting Tesla out entirely from interaction. Yeah. No, that's not.
I agree with that. I'm saying the integration of Apple CarPlay into a Tesla operating system, sandboxed in whatever way it needs to be sandboxed, but that you can do your mapping and music and take calls through your phone.
Also, it's way better. I've got a Spotify app on Tesla. I tap. I've already opened it up. It's better. Perfect. It's a beautiful. I'm just
going to say it straight now. The OS on Tesla is not better than Apple's OS.
No. No, that's a different discussion. So clearly, if there is an Apple car opening, if there's an opportunity for Apple car to beat Tesla, it's in their UX on that design.
Right.
There's no question. There's no question. But it's not just about UX, right? It's about like operability. It's about how easy it is to get the maps being right there. It's a fundamental part of the driving journey. You don't want to be plugging in, opening an app, etc. Navigate. To be clear, they're using Google data, and they're using another company's, I forget, map boxes, navigation.
Okay.
But it is not Google Maps because they need all the stuff on top. No, this is going to be the self-driving iPad.
I'm out.
You do not give up your prime and only real estate.
I'm not buying a Tesla until it has Apple CarPlay. I'm serious. I'm just not doing it.
It's never going to have an Apple. It'll have an Apple CarPlay when they try the platform and it fails.
Yeah.
It will not have it before then. You're not going to have it for the next 5 years.
I just wish Apple would bring out a car.
They might. I mean, they've
just lost their head of engineering design again last week.
Again, yeah. Haven't they done it like 4 times now?
Yeah, in and out. Poach someone else, stays for another 6 months, then he's poached again.
But I feel like we had friends of ours who went from Lucid to Apple and then took over a whole bunch of people with it. Like, we know stuff's happening there. We don't know what it looks like.
Yeah.
No one does.
Well, they think it's an OS rather than a car, right?
Right. So it just keeps going. Like, I get the sense you get the 400 people team, then drops down, and I guess 400. It's a very cyclical story.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing.
Be nice if they brought out an electric car, wouldn't it? Be too expensive though.
You've got to imagine it's not that big a jump. It's not that big a leap. You've got Foxconn, the world's largest manufacturing supply chain over there, doing essentially the same stuff.
Yeah.
Batteries with a bit of a chassis.
Yeah. So Sony, I mean, CES, there's loads of prototypes. I mean, I'm sure Apple,
can't be that hard.
Biggest company in the world. I'm sure they can make a car, but if that's what we have to do just because Tesla won't integrate CarPlay, it's annoying, isn't it?
No, it's honestly not. From a experience point of view, I don't think about it twice. The phone is great. The map is 98% of the time what you're doing. It's even got text integration. They keep adding those pieces. There's not that much you want. You want your phone to work for calls. You want, which is auto connect and secondary and primary. You want Spotify there, and you want your map. And map is brilliant. And away you go.
And it's as good as Apple CarPlay.
It's better because you're not like, oh, where's the app? I'll tap in. No, it's.
I feel like you haven't used Apple CarPlay in 10 years. Like, what do you mean app you tap into and then find it? I mean, it's just there. It's on your console.
Yeah, still. Look, it's not. I hear you. Apple CarPlay and Android Car, whatever it's called, Android Auto, it's clearly genius for any legacy car company. But if you're building an iPad on wheels, you are not giving up your OS. That's nuts.
I just think that those two things are separate. The entertainment system from I'm separating the two.
It's not entertainment. It's the whole thing. It's the operating system of the car. It's how you're going to push whatever you're going to push in future, be it ads, be it cross-sell, it is over-the-air updates, software company car. It's a tech company.
I get it.
Yeah. Do you want me to draw you a picture of how Tesla works? This is not BMW, where I will say...
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking back to.
Adds like a 20% premium on any navigation that you go.
And you hit navigate, and it's like the only way you can get to the address is if you can know the zip code first. What's the zip code of where you're going? I don't know. I want to look for the nearest Starbucks. Zip code, please.
You're like, why are you taking me across 2 bridges to go 3 blocks that way? It is the worst.
Well, this is terrible.
It's not that situation. That is the reason CarPlay and Android Auto exist, for the legacy Luddite dinosaurs.
And the truck. It turns a 2016 Ford F-150 into a fantastic modern type truck.
Totally. Luckily, Teslas are already modern.
I'm very skeptical. Rami. Well,
now you've got 2.5 hours worth of.
Yeah, this will be fun. Can we stop recording?
Yeah, we should stop.
I'll stop the video.